Now you're welcome back. It's the latest in our series of GAA Roadshows. Myself and Kieran Donaghy with you this evening. A Cork Kerry theme. It's all with thanks to SuperValu, calling on GAA fans across the country to support where you're from. You can check out OTB social channels to get involved and win some great prizes. And check out facebook.com as well /SuperValu Ireland for more information. So our next guest, Kieran, just the 11 All-Irelands with Cork, 7 All-Stars and Player of the Year in 2016. Bríd Stack, you're very welcome.
Thanks, William.
Geez, you didn't do much with your time, did you?
Yeah, I hung back a bit with a solid team. That was it really. Just very lucky to be on the team that I was on, definitely.
Well, it was some team. We might talk about that in a moment. But first, give us the goss then, or the story with Sydney. So the news kind of broke. We thought you'd retired. We thought you were putting the feet up. You were out to pasture. And then, lo and behold, Sydney 2021. Unbelievable. Yeah,
I said I'd take off the dressing gown for another couple of years anyway before I throw myself down for a bit. I suppose I was due to be out in Sydney in a room with aircon at the moment, but I'm currently in a room in Cork with the heat absolutely blasting. So not there yet, but hopefully, look, a couple of weeks. I think there's massive flight shortages at the moment. A lot of Australians trying to get back into Australia again after, I suppose, things have eased up again over there. So, we're caught with flights. So I think the earliest flight that a lot of the Irish girls can get is the 9th of December, it's looking like, which probably isn't ideal for me and Lauren McGee. We'd be the two that are going over into our first term, and I suppose all the other girls would have a year at least under their belt. So you'd be flying the 9th, landing over the 10th, quarantining for 14 days then until the 24th. And I suppose a lot of the clubs then break for their Christmas break from the 24th until about the 2nd. So I probably wouldn't be meeting the team as a collective until the 2nd, but hoping to train away during that Christmas period anyway. Hopefully there'll be a few around Sydney. And then I think in January there's 2 test matches towards the end of January, and then you're straight into kind of the championship matches, I suppose, then the 1st of February. So it doesn't leave me a lot of time to get stuck in with the team. And I suppose that's where I definitely thrive best is in a team environment. So just hoping that I suppose I pick things up quickly. And I suppose Cora and Yvonne have been a great source of reassurance to me there the last while that, I suppose it's different. It's going to be different to football in terms that you're given a job, and if you can do that job time and time again, that you might be okay. So I'm just hoping that I learn fast and I suppose bond with the girls quickly as well is a big thing. Like going in meeting brand new teammates, you have to develop a good rapport, and I think when you're friends, you definitely play better. So hopefully. I'd say I'll probably have to bring a box of homemade cookies or something with me the first day, just to have good favour with a couple of them, But sure, we'll see how we get on.
Bring out good Cadbury's chocolate, no?
Yeah, a good couple of multi-pack potatoes or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what a strange time to be travelling across the globe. So did you say quarantine for 2 weeks and you're out on the 24th? So you'll have to do the Christmas shopping at the airport?
Yeah, a couple of Toblerones, I'd say. We'll start to would be grand. But so look, I suppose it's very exciting. I've never been to Australia. I've never gone away for any extended period of time. I suppose we were lucky to be involved in football for many, many years, and never wanted to go away really, to be honest. And look, now is as good a time as ever, and I suppose I'm in a position to travel. My husband is, and we have a little baby, and he's after getting a good bit sturdier in the last while, so hopefully he won't cause us too much bother on the plane or in the quarantine. But sure, look, it'll be experience, something to look back on in a couple of years' time when we're probably a lot grayer and a lot more covered in wrinkles after the experience. But sure, that's the joys of it.
Oh, no, it's brilliant. Sure, look, life is for living. What an experience. Like, it must have been the last thing on your mind when you announced your retirement in January 2019. So when did you first get even a whiff of this or a mention of this, or who put you in touch with who? How does this happen? Yeah,
so I suppose myself and Cora got asked to do a build-up for TG Cahir before one of the All-Irelands. It was actually the one in 2018, so I had retired. I hadn't been playing in 2018. I'd just taken a step back because we had set up our own business in 2017, and to be honest, it was taking an awful lot of my time. So we were talking in 2018 anyway after this due, and I was just asking her how she was getting on with it, and she was saying she absolutely loved it, and did I ever consider it? And I suppose I knew in the back of my mind that I had a lot more commitments going forward now, and I suppose maybe I wasn't enjoying the Cork setup as much as I usually had. A lot of my own crowd that I started with in 2004, 2005 had all moved on, and I suppose Eamon had moved on, and it was, I suppose, a new look team, and as I said, maybe I just wasn't enjoying it as much as I used to. And I always said to myself, if I ever wasn't enjoying it, or if I wasn't able to do it anymore, or, if I wasn't physically up to it, that it would be time to step back. So I kind of knew in my head when I was talking to her that I was going retiring. Obviously didn't say it to her at the time, but I suppose I knew that was on the cards. And I suppose I was hopeful that we would be able to start a family then as well. Family would be very, very important to me. And look, thankfully, we were blessed with a little boy last October, and I'm sure it's been great crack since. And I suppose after I had Cork Oak, they came back in touch with me again. Alan McConnell from the GWS Giants got in touch with me and said how I was feeling, and sure, I didn't know my head from my arse for a good couple of months, I suppose, with the new baby. But thankfully I had a very healthy pregnancy, and I suppose I was able to get back training soon enough afterwards. Not out of a mad compulsion, but just, I suppose, for myself, I like keeping fit and healthy, and I was able to gain back a good bit of my strength in the first couple of months. So I said, maybe I might be up for it, and I kind of upped the training then, and I went back playing with the club and really, really enjoyed that, and it all kind of spiraled from there. And then I was offered a contract then, I suppose, a couple of months back then, and it kind of all took off, as I said, and things were put in place. So it's been a while, couple of months.
Do they send you a ball, Bríd, like, and when they're talking about bringing you over, do they talk about positions where they're looking at playing you, or is it where is the, I guess, what's the expectation of you going over there, having obviously not kicked the oval ball?
Yeah, I suppose it was all in February, I suppose, I really had made contact with Alan, and his son was due to meet me, and I don't know, as it transpired, he couldn't come and meet me, but I was due to go to Australia in April, I suppose, for the Easter break. Myself and my husband were due to go over for Easter break just to suss it out, do a bit of a trial, I suppose, see the lie of the land, see if it was something that would be manageable with a young baby and my family. And then sure, COVID hit, I suppose, in March, and everything was put on hold. So I didn't get the chance to go over. But what I was doing then for the last couple of months was sending Alan McConnell constant videos of me kicking, doing different drills, things like that. And he would just send on stuff that I would have to do, and I just followed it to the letter of the law. I actually didn't get a ball from them because everything, I suppose, would be months getting here. So actually it was Kieran Sheehan was a great help to me. He got 2 balls sent over for me. I don't know, he knew a man, and I got 2 balls anyway sent over. So I was flat out working with them, and I actually made contact then with Cork Vikings AFL. I just saw, I said, I'll get onto this crowd and see if I can buy another ball or whatever. And I got onto them anyway, and made contact with Mike Curran. And he actually was like, yeah, I can sell you a ball, no bother, but do you want to know how to kick it? And I said, yeah, that would actually even be better. And he has been kicking with me flat out twice a week for the last couple of months, I suppose, really. So he's been a huge benefit to me, a huge boost, and he's kind of broken it down from the very basics. And thankfully the kicking has improved a good bit. The first day was very frustrating, but look, I suppose I'm okay enough with kicking. It's not as much the kicking I'm as worried about as some of the other parts of it. But yeah, I was going to say that we were out in Toulouse in 2006 before the international rules first test, and we were after winning our first All Ireland, and I hadn't been to many of the trainings, and I didn't really know the game of compromise rules, and definitely didn't know how to tackle, being a full forward. I don't know how to tackle anyway, but this rugby tackle that you're able to do, I had no idea. And Trevor Brennan was after playing with Toulouse the day before, and I think he had about 12 steel. I was going to say stitches, but there were staples basically. Yeah. The wound was that bad, and there was blood kind of trickle out of it. And he got, of course, I was dopey enough to pick up the tackle bag. He said, "Pick up the tackle bag there, Donaghy," and
picked it up and stood, and like he took like 3 steps back, and then he ran and pulverized me about 10 yards backwards. And he was like, "That's the way you have to tackle when you're going at these fellas. You have to go in with the shoulder." Is I presume the tackling's the exact same?
Yeah, so like that, you'd I suppose put the hand across, kind of protect your neck, put your kind of your head behind their back, if in a sense, and so like that's the thing. I suppose I haven't done too much of the tackling. I only kind of I'm just walking through it really with Mike and doing as much as I can. I suppose brought Cork out, the husband, with me a couple of times and tried to go at him a couple of times. But
that's for not putting the dishes away.
I was surprised you haven't signed up with the rugby team or something in the meantime.
Oh, he's very bad. Like, yeah, he came out bad enough out of a couple of them. But no, sure. Look, that's what I mean about team environment. I thrive off team environment, and that's why I would absolutely love to be out there a bit sooner and just get all that kind of under your belt. And definitely, like, it's all repetition with the kicking at the moment, and the handballing, and I suppose the ground ball. And I'm just trying to do as much of that as possible, so that I'm leaving myself then to focus on the tackling, things like that. But I am doing a small bit of it, but definitely, like, it's tough enough all going. I go to a gym inside in the marina, and I work with Colin O'Shaughnessy, so he has a rehab gym, and I kind of work away with him the whole time. And he actually a couple of times now has put one of the tackle bags, one of the big tackle bags out in front of me, and literally just gets me tackling Jesus out of it like 10 times in a row, flat out, as much as possible. So, but that's that's all I can do, I suppose, at the moment, just with the situation that we're in. But look, I suppose try my best and just try to protect myself when I go out there and learn as best as possible.
I wouldn't doubt you out there now. Have they talked to you about positions? Have they talked to you about where they're looking at you? Have they an idea? Have they gone through that with you, so you can watch games and study how people are playing in the position?
Yeah, well, I'm watching a load of games actually on the AFLW app. Has been great. So I've been watching a load of games, and I suppose initially they were definitely looking at me for the backs. I know there was a couple of their backs were retiring kind of in the last year or two. So I would imagine maybe somewhere like that. But then even chatting with Cora there the last day, she was saying that don't be surprised if they try you in the backs and then they throw you up into the forwards. So you never know. It could be a snaky corner forward yet.
Kicking the goals.
Yeah. Kicking, and trying to knock it absolutely lambasted with tackles. But sure, look, I'll play wherever I'm put. I'll just be very, very glad if I make the team, to be honest. And like I said, you play where you're put.
And without being too simplistic about it, Bríd, with regard to kicking, is it just a case of punting the ball off your laces as opposed to around the corner GAA style?
There doesn't seem to be. Well, Mike wasn't a fan of teaching me anything around the laces kind of job. It was all kind of just getting the spin on the ball and punting it, and I suppose stabbing it a lot. And I suppose when I'm 10 metres apart from him, 20 metres apart, it's just to make sure that the ball stays low and that I'm kind of just getting speed through it, as opposed to kind of looping balls. So there just seems to be the 10, the 20, and then maybe your 30, 40 metre pass then is different. That you're kind of extending the leg obviously a lot more, but the stab is something that I'm just trying to really perfect as much as possible if I'm in a defensive position, so. Right,
okay. Because I guess to a degree, in certain scenarios playing the football, you would have stabbed the ball or punted it, so it's not like it's totally alien.
Yeah, no, it's not. I suppose I definitely probably would have hook kicked a lot more in football, though. That's the only thing. But I suppose it's not completely alien, but I suppose you have to try to get spin on it as much as possible. Right. Just so that it's easier for the person receiving it to catch. So I suppose that was the big thing at the start, just to hit it at the sweet spot, and just trying to do that continuously now, so that you're getting it 8 times out of 10 as opposed to twice out of 10 and annoying people and pissing people off, So so we'll keep going.
It is a very sweet spot, isn't it? To hit it right. It's a tiny area,
Right.
Yeah, it just seems like the bottom third, and when there's a lovely, I suppose, sound off it then when you hit it right, and then you're like, let's try do it again, and sure, then you make up balls the next one. But sure, it's just trying to repetition, I suppose, is the biggest thing with Mike, and just doing it over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. Because with football, it's second nature. You could pick out a pass, not a bother, but it's definitely a lot harder trying to control the ball, and I suppose trying to keep the projection of the ball low is probably difficult as well. Another thing I'm finding probably tough enough is that, you know, in football, like, you take the ball and you bring it into your chest, and in AFL, I suppose you have to take the ball and keep it, you know, take it as far out from your body as possible so that you can, you know, get rid of the ball left or right kind of as soon as you get it, because there's going to be a player on you, and the tackle is in, whereas maybe you have that extra bit of time in football. So that's something that I definitely have to learn like that. You learn that in a team environment. So hopefully get to grips with those quick enough, you know.
Yeah. All these instinctive things that you've had embedded since childhood.
Protect the ball and bring it into you. And if you bring it into you, you just get gobbled up. So, keep it out in front, run around like a 12-year-old with it out in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even with the tackling, I mean, you'd see it in rugby all the time. You mentioned get your head against the back. Getting the head on the wrong side of the tackle is not a good idea.
No, definitely not. I can imagine there'll be plenty sore necks and sore backs initially. And like I've chatted to a couple of the girls and they've been great, but I suppose you learn that on your feet, and they've had plenty of knocks over the last couple of years with the tackle and getting winded. And I know I was talking to Ailish Constantine, she said she got an absolute cruncher of a tackle put on her, and you know, she cracked a rib and really kind of hurt herself, like, you know. So I suppose that's it. Just try to be, I suppose, in a constant state of tension for the whole time you're on the field.
Yeah, but enjoy it.
Yeah, oh yeah, fierce enjoyable, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, dodge away for your life.
Yeah. What's that? You want me to come off? No problem. Yeah, no.
And I presume, look, you got to get yourself back up to fitness, but I presume at your fittest, that was probably pretty close to how fit the girls out over in Australia are. Would they be an extra level given that they're full time at this stage? I don't know what Cora said.
Yeah, so a good shot of them, I suppose, would be, but then there'd be a couple that would have day jobs as well, I suppose, in college and things like that. But yeah, like, just from gathering from what a couple of the girls have said, like, that their conditioning would probably be a good step ahead of the Irish girls, but that maybe the Irish skill set would be probably a bit more natural. That would be the thing. Yeah, so their conditioning, I suppose, is top notch, and that comes with being exposed to strength conditioning trainers constantly and gym access the whole time. I suppose having your one base and everyone in close proximity to it, and having your time to rest and recover, I suppose, is going to be something that'll be very welcome, you know.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting even on that front, because I was reading a couple of interviews you did earlier today, and you were talking about even, you know, look, back in the day, chicken fillet rolls, and maybe not, you know, even a fry before matches back in the day.
Well, yeah, that was way
back. Yeah. But, you know, it's going to be interesting. You're going to be at the cutting edge now and learning about how to maximise your fitness, and it'll be great to be exposed to all of that. Oh,
massively. And I suppose when I was involved at Cork, thankfully, because we were so successful and Eamon Ryan was very, very professional, I suppose I felt that we had as close to a professional setup as a ladies footballer could have been exposed to. So I absolutely adored our setup, but this just seems to be a step above. I've been added to a couple of different WhatsApp groups now, and you know, one is the strength conditioning one, and we get our program sent out to us at the start of every single week. Then I'm added to a nutrition one as well, where you have direct access to a nutritionist, a dietitian, and like, it just seems to be extremely, extremely professional. There's Cora rang me there during the week and just was kind of giving me a bit more of an insight into it. There's physios available at the drop of a hat if you just want to go in and have a masseur sort you out. You know, it's just seems to be so readily available, and I suppose it's something that's alien to a lot of the lady footballers at the moment. But it'll be just amazing to be involved in it. I think their base is kind of out in Olympic Park, which means, you know, they're across the way from like the aquatic setup and things like that. So it just seems to be a massive stadium and I suppose a massive experience, and I'm ready to take it all in, definitely.
God, I'd say so. That sounds just amazing. That's the dream, isn't it? To get to be a professional for even, be it a season or maybe more, hopefully, who knows? Yeah.
Well, we'll see how the body holds up. But I suppose that it would be fabulous just to really give it my all now this year and see how I fare out, you know.
Yeah. So just to touch on the ridiculous career with Cork for a moment, you made your debut, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, but you made your debut in '03 at the age of 16. There is a brief pre-Eamon Ryan stage, and then there is a very long and successful post-Eamon Ryan stage. So he arrives in '04. Cork win their first All-Ireland in '05. As I mentioned, 11 of 12 All-Irelands. The extraordinary thing, which I hadn't realised, is that before Eamon's arrival, in the 30 years of Munster Championships, Cork hadn't managed to win a single Munster title before his arrival. So it would be very easy to just assume, well, Cork were always good.
Yeah, definitely not. And I suppose like pre-2004, like I said, I made our debut in 2003, and that was literally our under 16 or under 18, or no, our under 16 team, I suppose, was going very, very well. We actually won All Ireland. But in saying that, a couple of us got drafted on to the seniors, and you turned up in the bus, but you didn't know who was going to be on the bus. We stopped like that. If we were going away for matches, we stopped, and it was a fry put in front of us, you know, when for our pre-match meal, kind of halfway up the country. And sure, you ate it. You didn't question it, and you'd be playing the match then, and there'd be a bit of black pudding, you know, coming up to say hello like halfway through the first half. So actually, look, we didn't know any better, I suppose, and there was probably a divide in the clubs in Cork. Donaghy were absolutely like rampant favourites in ladies football. They had dominated Cork Championships for years upon years, and they were at the forefront at that time. So a lot of the Donaghy players didn't want to play with Cork. They focused completely on club, and you're already taking away a good, you know, like 7 or 8 absolutely unbelievable players that aren't making themselves available. So I think it definitely did take a change of management. It needed someone new. It needed someone that wasn't there before. And Eamon came in. I don't know, did he know any of the big names like Juliet Murphy or Nolly Cleary? But he came in and he just, I suppose he definitely, he came from the main setup, so I suppose he couldn't get over some maybe of the lack of professionalism maybe at the very start. I definitely think he couldn't get over maybe the skill set early on. I know he, you know, has said it a couple of times that he just wanted to make us really, really competent footballers at the very start. So at the start, I suppose he just stripped everything back, and he didn't put club to the front. I don't know how he managed it, but he really got us bonded. And like there was a time when I suppose I was playing with Rockchapel at the time, and Rockchapel and Donaghy had been in numerous county finals, and like there was a big rivalry there. And there was times when, you know, Rockchapel girls wouldn't sit next to Donaghy girls in the changing room. And I suppose bit by bit and training session by training session, he gave massive ownership to every single player, no matter if you were one of the older girls or one of the younger girls. And I suppose that ownership made, I suppose it broke down barriers, and it gained a lot of respect between players. And he in 2004, then I suppose we made it to a National League final, and we got pipped by Mayo in championship. But I suppose the seed was definitely sown in 2004. The groundwork was kind of being done. We got over Kerry and Waterford and Munster, which was something we had never ever done before, Joe, like you said. We were getting hammered, absolutely annihilated by Kerry and Waterford for years. And there were times when it was knockout and there was no backdoor. And, you know, that was it. Your championship was over. And I suppose that's why it was so easy for girls to turn up some days or not turn up other days, because, you know, we turn up, get beaten by Kerry, and that's it. Your season's over. But then look, 2004, it all kind of turned around, and I suppose the rest is history then. 2005, we came back very, very bonded. And I suppose the biggest thing about Eamon is I suppose he'd be a quiet man. He wouldn't favour anyone, and we knew that from the absolute outset. The oldest player on that team was probably Juliet, and she was only 24, I'd say, at the time. And there was a ball of us then that were 18. We had won under 14s, under 16s, minors, so there was a very good underage team coming in. And then there was a couple of the stalwarts, then the older girls, you know, and it just all meshed very, very well together. So we had a very successful 2005, and Eamon's big thing is, you know, it's great winning, but you've to celebrate it. And I suppose he kind of left us off. Well, he came with us, like, but he kind of just said, you know, make sure that you visit every club, every girls' club. And we did that in 2005. I'd say we visited every girls' club up and down the length of Cork. I'd say there was, I don't know how many floors they were changed in different community centres and pubs all over Cork, and that was the real bonding. He wanted us to bond, and we had sing-songs galore, and sure, you came back in 2006 and all you wanted was to try to replicate that. And I suppose, look, we were very, very fortunate that we could do that for as long as we did, but definitely success breeds success, and momentum is a super thing.
Wow, fascinating. Smart man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew not to I suppose give out to us too much, but he definitely questioned us, and he always looked for feedback. And you know, anyone that's looking for feedback, then you're being put in the centre of something working or not working. So when he asked us for feedback and we gave it, it meant that we were at the decision making process. So I suppose that's where the ownership came in, and you know, you really had to make it work then.
It's hard to pick out like highlights, or we'll be here all night given you've won 11 of these things. I know certainly your future teammate Cora Staunton, the 07 final, I think you were 21, 22 territory. He wasn't so sure you were the player to man mark Cora.
Yeah, so yeah, I suppose I had a very good year. That year I was playing O'Connor Cup, which is the equivalent of Sigerson. So we had actually I was playing with UL, and we had won the O'Connor Cup, and yeah, I was probably the fittest. I was definitely the fittest I had been in the previous couple of years, and I was probably playing with a bit more confidence. And I had held my position very, very well all year, and I was playing centre back, and we were due to come up against Mayo then the All-Ireland final, and Rena Buckley would probably be the most notable man marker on our team. She was just unbelievable. You'd find her in your pocket at training sessions. She was just unbelievable. And Eamon, I suppose, was kind of earmarking her to mark Cora, you know, when we found out that we were going to play Mayo. And then I suppose Mary Collins would have been the manager at the time, and she was just saying, look, why not just play Bríd there, chance her, if it doesn't work out, at least we have the backup of Rena. So, you know, confidence was fierce. Confidence was fierce, like. But the day before the match, I suppose we were staying up in the Red Cow, and Eamon came down at around 9 or 10 o'clock that night, knocked on my door anyway. Probably not happy with the decision, but knocked on my door anyway and was like, you're marking Cora tomorrow, no, go to sleep. And just, that was it. And I was like, grand job, and closed the door. And she looked, I suppose, thankfully the day after went very, very well. But I suppose we had a very, very settled collective unit. In the backs, the defensive unit hadn't changed very much in, 3-4 years at that stage, and it actually went on to remain very, very similar for the next couple of years. So we knew how to play with each other, and I knew that if she went past me, that there was about 3 or 4 girls that were ready to help me out. So it was a great team performance from start to finish in 2007. We probably stumbled across in 2006, and then 2007, we just had a real team performance from start to finish. So it was a mighty one.
It's very interesting, the landscape at the moment. All your success, and then Dublin beaten in 3 finals. They were clearly a coming force, and they were starting to harness all the advantages the capital city would have. And now, boom, they've quickly knocked out 3 All-Irelands in a row and look very strong. So that's a really interesting aspect. Also then, I think when you won in 05, there were 23,000 at the final. We're now having 56,000 at a final, so that looks great. There was the recent GPA study I wanted to get your thoughts on, whereby things like mileage and medical expenses, that's still falling quite a bit short. Players are dipping their hands in their own pockets. I suspect it has improved, but it feels like it's got a way to go, does it?
Yeah, it has a massive way to go. And I know all the talk, in the media has been about the expenses, but I suppose from my point of view, I've never gotten expenses. It wouldn't be a deal breaker for me going out and training with Cork any day, and I can say that wholeheartedly for any of the girls that I've ever played with. You would feel sorry for the girls, all right, that were travelling long distances, like Ger Flynn, Elaine Hart, Murray Kelly. They were coming down from Dublin, Portlaoise. You would love to see people that were travelling long distances recuperated, but it was never a bugbear of any of us, definitely not. And I definitely think there's more pressing issues, before, like, great that it's being highlighted, but I think there's way more pressing issues that need to be addressed first before you get to the expenses talk. I think, the camogie clashes with football are something that has been going on for as long as I can remember playing with Cork. I remember Mary O'Connor in a dressing room back in 2000 I suppose 4 or 5, no, I suppose maybe 5 or 6, you know, saying that there were these clashes and they were shooting from one match to another match. And that was like, that's going back how many years? And I remember in 2015, and that's not that long ago as well. We beat Meath. I think we got beaten by Kerry in the Munster final, and we had to go the backdoor route. And we beat Meath in the qualifier. And after the qualifier, because we had won, there was due to be a clash 2 weeks later with Camogie. So Eamon pulled us all up into the corner of the field anyway, and we were all kind of stretching and I suppose doing our bits after the match, and Eamon was like, right, so lads, I think we should all pull out. I think we all have to stand together as a unit. And Eamon was very, very prepared for us all to do it, and everyone was completely backing him. We were very, very prepared to do it. And as it transpired, I think the ladies football, there were 2 dates for the quarter final, and you know, they moved the date so that there wouldn't be the clash. But you know, this has been going on for as long as I can remember, and it's just farcical. It doesn't paint anyone in a good light. No. And no, it's not good for the game. You have to put your players, they're your assets. You have to put them to the forefront and keep people involved as much as possible. We're all about trying to promote young people staying in, I suppose, as many sports as possible. And I think the importance of specialising in loads of different sports when you're younger is vital for being a well-rounded player. Like I know many of the girls have played, you know, basketball, badminton, things like that when they were younger, and it definitely helps massively when you're a bit older, and then you can specialise in whatever your chosen sport is. But like these girls are putting in massive effort and massive amount of time to try to play both, and for it to come down to fixtures, I think it's a disgrace, to be honest. So
no, you couldn't disagree. What I didn't understand was in 2020, especially this year with COVID in particular, but as you say, it's not just a 2020 issue. For instance, take Cork this year, because we did a piece on the show about it.
Yeah.
There was a clash. I think the footballers were playing Kerry, and the hurlers, the camogie players, were due to play Galway, and the Ladies Gaelic Football Association and the Camogie Association got together, sat down, and they came out afterwards and said, with regard to fixture clashes, just they couldn't find a resolution, but they had sat down, talked about it, and there was no way around it. And then it turns out that the Cork Camogie team basically, I mean, it might have been even just a WhatsApp, who knows, just got on to Galway and said, can you move to the next day? Galway said, yeah, no problem. Sorted out like that, and yet you have the two associations supposedly looking out for their players, coming out and with a straight face saying there was nothing we could do. I know it is very farcical, and like fair play to Galway for changing, and just to make sure that a game goes ahead and players' welfare, I suppose, looked after. You would be just shaking your head at them. I really don't understand it. I know probably both are trying to keep their own authority, and I suppose they both worked very, very hard in their own right of things. But you know, you have to work together, and I suppose like the only experience probably close enough to home that I would see where that seems to be happening is like, you know, the one club model. And I think, you know, if that's rolled out a lot more, you know, camogie clubs and football clubs, you know, seem to be working a lot more hand in hand, and I don't know, maybe it could have a knock-on effect for the intercounty scene. But there has to be some type of unity, because the day of the dual player will be long gone. Yeah. Well, listen, on that slightly sadder note, we will...
Yeah, we're gone very, very sad.
They're all still playing. Joe, just before you finish up,
yes,
I just wanted to get her thoughts on the crowd. And I have 2 small girls, Bríd, and I'm sitting, Indy was too small now last year, but Lola Rose, like, sitting her down in front, and, you know, she's just started this year. She hadn't even played football last year, but around the house messing around, but I took her down to the Stacks this year. And, you know, sitting her in front of the final, you know, seeing 63,000, huge numbers at the game, the flags, the colour, the skill levels, it's only going one way. On that side, I 100% agree with you on that's so frustrating. We have it down here in Kerry, where they're doing this development squads at 12 and 14 and 16, and there's young girls that I know that are brilliant at basketball, and they can't play big basketball finals because the under 14 development squad have a training game or something, and there's no kind of leeway to go on away and play the basketball. That's a big final. We're only playing a trial game. They're made play the trial game, and they're missing. And I agree with you in the crossover sports, as you well know. It's such a good thing for kids to play. But we need to keep building the momentum on the games, because for young girls that are watching that, you know, like she was excited watching it by the buzz that was created. And you know, and I've talked to loads of the great Kerry team that, as you rightly say, with Waterford being so dominant for years, and the Kerry team before your dominance came along, you know, they played finals in kiss my arse of venues with nobody at it, you know, and they were winning 4 or 5 All-Irelands. They should have been household names as much as ye are. There's an uplift on my side to know that my 2 girls, that if the day comes that we do beat Cork on a regular basis, that possibility of going to Croke Park and seeing them play in front of a big crowd is it's inspiring, and you're a big part of that. And the rivalry with this Dublin team that you had over those last 6 years was a huge part of it. And I guess thank you, and keep driving it. And we need to all keep driving it, because it is so important, and there's so many young girls out there, and they need to be watching that in the sport. I taped all the WNBA finals for Lola Rose, and we used to kind of tip in and watch a bit of them the next day. Now, she wouldn't have the concentration to watch the whole thing, but I was just anxious for her to see basketball being played at that kind of a level on TV and stuff. So we need to keep that going, I think.
Yeah. And you're dead right. Like, the big day is fantastic, and I suppose that would be another kind of bugbear of mine, is that, you know, the fanfare on the big day is absolutely huge, but there needs to be
more semi-finals, quarterfinals.
Yeah. Like there definitely needs to be more. Like, how do you get attendance up at all these Munster finals, quarterfinals? Yeah, like they have moved the semis now to Croke Park, which is a massive step. And look, hopefully, you know, that will be the case for many years, because, you know, for many years, I suppose there's plenty of girls that would aspire to play in Croke Park and never got the chance. And you know, if it was brought down to semi-finals level, hopefully maybe in time it could go a little bit further, that you get your chance to play in Croke Park, and like you say, hopefully in front of a big crowd. But it's to make it a spectacle, and I suppose it's the onus on all of us, like to bring, you know, to bring people to them as much as possible, to get out and I suppose to get watching games, get to know the players, and like there's been huge work done by massive sponsors, and it's just a case now of, I suppose, rowing in behind them.
Because I said it before, I'd put them on before the men's games and try and double-header them up where there is 40,000 at a venue, because you're putting 17-year-old minors. I think 17-year-olds, and a lot of them are 16 playing. I think it's too, in the modern era with social media and fellas Snapchatting, and you miss the winning free to win the game, and what that could do to a young person at 16 or 17. I just think they're too young for that showcase in front of 40,000 in Killarney, whereas, you know, a ladies' final and all the family are going to the Munster final. It'd just be a huge thing to try and tie it in with. But look, that's just
it's brilliant. And there has been loads of double headers, thankfully, in the last couple of years. Yeah, lately, like in the last 2 years. So it's just a case of I suppose making it the norm now is the big thing.
Yep.
You know, very interesting. Because it's funny, the semi-final doubleheader, was that last year? That was the first time I was at Croker. It was because I was in working in the office, and my parents just texted me saying, "We're in town if you want to meet for a drink after." And I said, "What are you doing in town?" I said, "Well, sure, we went in to watch the 2 matches. Sure, it was a lovely day out. You know what I mean?
Lovely day out. Pack the sandwiches and you're happy out."
But if you put it on for people like that, you know, Jesus, that's advertising. That sounds like a nice, you know, 2 football matches and a good event.
And I suppose the ladies' football has always been a lovely day out for people. I know plenty of people that would be very happy to bring, you know, young families there, because I suppose it's a bit safer. You don't have the mass crowds yet, but you know, it's a lovely day, and kids can scream and tear away as much as they want. And sure, it's brilliant. Like, it's a great day, and it's been promoted very well.
And to be fair, I didn't even mean it in, like, they're both football fans. They were like, sure, there's 2 good matches here, and we get to sit in Croke Park, nice
and there were 2 tight games as well, so it was a good spectacle. So hopefully going forward,
more of that, for sure. Didn't she win the RT Sport Team of the Year in 2014 as well?
Yeah, so 2014, by public vote. So I suppose that was definitely
that was a big one.
Yeah, like you say, I suppose we had won, like we had been winning since 2005, dipped our rate in 2010, but like we had success for so many years, and it probably took until our comeback in 2014 for people to really take stock of us. I suppose, which is it's not nice to think of it that way, but I suppose we were very, very happy to be winning for ourselves and winning for our families and winning for Cork. But you know, it probably did take until a massive comeback for people to really take stock of our team. And it was lovely to win it by public vote, and probably meant a lot more.
I read Mary White's book, Relentless, I think was the title, about all your success, and even then RT producers were just understandably a bit surprised, you know, because there's other competition and they didn't realise that the team had registered, but they certainly did. Listen, we've taken
we plenty of brown envelopes sent out as well that year. So.
yeah. I think you got 0.2 of the percent of the vote in Kerry, but the rest of the country.
Oh yeah.
Stop! They pipped us that year, Joe.
Is that right? Delighted. Even better.
Nah, we didn't. They didn't pip us. I'm sure those other teams up first.
Bríd, listen, great to have you with us. Best of luck in Australia. Give them hell out
Thanks,
there.
man.
Enjoy it.
Best of luck. We'll be watching.
Yeah. Thanks a million.
No, listen, it's great to have you with us. So going out in December and hopefully a brilliant season ahead. That was Bríd Stack. The latest in our series of roadshows has come to a close. We're doing it in association with SuperValu, calling on GAA fans across the country to support where you're from. You can check out facebook.com/SuperValu Ireland for more information. Our thanks again to Bríd Stack.